3 minutes of a warm-up between Paulie Ayala in the purple trunks and Mario Diaz in the black. Ranked numbers 10 and 12 respectively by the IBF, squaring off. We have mentioned so many times, which has become an unfortunate truth in boxing. Very rarely are you seeing fighters around the top 10 squaring off in competition.
Absolutely. However, the reason these two are squaring off is, number one, they both think they can win. Mario Diaz has paid his dues in the professional ranks. Paulie Ayala has paid his dues in the amateur ranks. There's a good uppercut. They told Ayala between rounds, they said more pressure and body shots, and he comes out and to appease his corner.
Yeah, he comes out now upstairs. The reaction of the crowd here, Will Rogers Coliseum, that can hold about 9,000 for this fight. They expect by the end of this night to be pretty much full. Big crowd on hand, and a double dose for the hometown faithful, seeing both Ayala and Sergio Reyes, who grew up together, fighting one another 16 times in the amateurs. They know that they'll eventually fight, hopefully, for a bantamweight championship, although there is a sentiment around town that there's 3 championships. Why can't they each grab a hold of at least one and not have to fight one another? But these guys do want to get together for a title fight, and they want to do it right here in Fort Worth.
Yeah, knowing these two fighters, they both want all 3 titles.
Ayala using Diaz also as the measuring stick, knowing that Diaz went the 12 rounds before losing to Sergio Reyes. And the Reyes camp, knowing that, have already set up a cushion. They say, well, Paulie, he's a bigger puncher. He is a southpaw. Styles make fights. And, Sergio took so much out of Diaz.
That's right. You've got to know all the answers to the questions before they ask them.
All right, that's Ayala with their left. But there is Diaz right in front of him. It's exactly what Sergio Reyes, who also is a machine-like with the punches, as you will see later.
And they share 4 common opponents. Paulie says, I have more power than Sergio. 6 KOs and his 14 wins.
Oh, again, a rocking shot. Now, Paulie Ayala, a talented amateur fighter, nearly 300 amateur fights, and he has fought the pretty high level of opposition as opposed to most younger fighters at this stage of his career, so maybe that's why it's only 6 knockouts in his 14 wins.
Well, he was rated #1 in amateurs for 18 months.
Paulie Ayala ends that second round, banging it out against Mario Diaz. 14-0 Ayala. He didn't lose a round in his first 7 fights. And then stepping up in competition, winning 14 in a row as a pro. One of the top young bantamweight prospects, all action style is Ayala, and so far in the early going, pleasing this hometown crowd. And if you take a look at this ring, it is really closing in on the fighters, which certainly helped the 2 hometown heroes, the brawlers Ayala and Reyes. This ring is 15 feet 8 inches.
The smallest ring we have seen on Tuesday night fights. Not much room, but the two championship fights, they don't need a big ring. They will be able to fight this in a shoebox. Both of them nose to nose. And the other title fight, both of those fighters will be nose to nose. Good combinations. Ayala starting very fast in this match.
Downstairs, upstairs, Paulie Ayala in his first defense of the NABF crown. No relation to the San Antonio boxing Ayala family.
Tony and Mike, Sammy. Oh, good combination. Diaz was going backwards, landed an uppercut and a hook, but Ayala throwing more force behind his punches. Ayala moving in with his body down, thrusting his fist on his opponent. They're calling for right hands from Diaz. The way that Ayala stands, he is susceptible to the right hand. The southpaw fighters
working with a young fighter. He hopes he's another champion in his stable.
No relation to Paulie Ayala either.
That's right.
But he's a terrific trainer. Paul Reyes is.
Well, it had to be good because he combined the names of both of the fighters we're seeing today. Oh! Paulie Ayala! Bang, bang! Twisting Mario Diaz around. Tough shots by Paulie Ayala. Downstairs, upstairs, but returning is Mario Diaz. A tough cookie.
Tough cookie, but Diaz is landing when he fires back. Paulie Ayala scores going in, and then when Ayala lets down, Diaz counters. A little bit of movement now from Ayala.
Jimmy Montoya in the corner of Mario Diaz. In between rounds says, why are you going backwards with this guy? You need to be strong to his body. And strong to the head is Paulie Ayala dishing it out. Diaz taking it and fighting back.
Trying to do what his corner is asking for. When you have a fighter like Ayala who is all over you, you don't really have to reach out for his southpaw stance. You don't have to reach for him. So just stand there, plant your feet, let him run into something, and he'll catch your punches. So quick, but Ayala has slowed down this round. This may have been the window of opportunity that Diaz has been waiting for. Diaz has to get his hands moving now. He's freezing too much. That's why every time he reaches the punch, Ayala lets him have it.
15 seconds and counting in round 6, which will be the halfway mark of the scheduled 12-rounder.
Mark the heads.
We will pause for this word from your local cable systems.
Ayala is so good when he's using his combination punches. Look at this. 2 punches from Diaz, but 4, 5, 6 punches from Paulie Ayala. Ayala scores with combinations, a preponderance of shots. He is out-punching Mario Diaz. Diaz has to get his hands moving. They were asking also for body shots from Diaz. You have to do something to contend with that speed of Ayala. Ayala's too good, he's too fast.
Quick jabs.
Yeah, look at those. Snapping punches.
But here, champ, you see also Ayala trying to stay on the outside, trying to use that reach.
Yeah, it's definitely changed from the first. Remember those first 3 rounds? Ayala was in his face, nose to nose. Now he's getting more room.
But Diaz keeps busy. Also throwing a lot of punches. Tries to hold off with a big right there. And sometimes he comes looping in. That's where Paulie Ayala looks to take advantage. Straight there is Diaz. Barry Yates, the 3rd man in the ring.
We haven't even seen him tonight. You know you have a good referee in there when you don't see him. He lets the fighters fight, and these two, when they go inside, they very rarely tie up. They get in there, and they punch their way out.
Well, he's enjoying this one as we are.
Get the best seat in the house, or the best standing position in the house.
Standing room only in the ring. Halfway mark is passed here in round 7.
I'm sure they both want their opponent to be seated.
Diaz corner urging him to pick it up. They tell him you need to throw everything you have now. They feel that Paulie Ayala is getting tired, and they don't want Diaz to waste any time. Now is the time for Diaz, says his corner.
They see what I see, and that is that complexion I was talking about. Now Ayala knows he is way ahead in the scoring system, or he thinks he is. He's taking a little bit of a breather. What an opportunity for Diaz to score.
Oh, upstairs again, Ayala with the lefts. Now this is not a bad round to take the breather. You know, we talked to Sergio Reyes, who is also all-out effort in the ring, and he says what he's trying to learn is somewhere in those middle rounds, 5th, 6th, or 7th, to be able to to take a deep breath and step back and get your wind again. And that appears to be what Ayala's looking at here in the 7th.
So important for a young fighter, especially in these 12-round fights. You've got the time to play with. You set the tempo in the fight. You tone it down. You take your opponent and walk him down to a slow pace. And then all of a sudden you come in with a fast flurry of punches, try to steal the round, especially right at the end of each round.
Which it is right now. Big crowd on hand at the Will Rogers Coliseum in Fort Worth, Texas. And one of their 2 heroes performing tonight, Paulie Ayala, the NABF champion, looking to defend that crowd against Mario Diaz. Ayala in the purple trunks. And Diaz getting an earful from Jimmy Montoya in between rounds. Told him that you got to start working. But don't you understand that Ayala's getting tired? You're in better condition. Hit him 2-3 times. Go up top. And there's a sense of urgency, champ, in the corner of Mario Diaz that they had to get it going now.
Yeah, well, they got to fire him up, number 1. They got to make him start throwing punches, number 2. He is waiting too much. The reason he's waiting, every time he reaches to punch, he gets tagged. Ayala too fast for him. Every time he reaches out to throw a shot, Ayala gives him 4 back. But they realize the score too, and at this point in the fight, they're not going to get anywhere near a decision. Scheduled for 12 rounds.
And there is Jimmy Montoya in the corner of, or rather, Mario Diaz in the corner of Mario.
Tira tú ahí, bomba, vámonos. Bomba corta. Vamos, derecha. Tírala.
A lot of instructions between rounds. They were all over him, telling him what to do, giving him a lot of things to work on, but basically the same thing. You got to get out there and start throwing that leather. He's allowing too many of these rounds go by, and he is looking, Mario is looking old in this fight. The speed of Ayala.
But now what do you do with it? He's gone 8 rounds with him. He's rattled him. That he just cannot put a Mario Diaz away. And now Diaz feels that the tides may have shifted physically.
Yeah, and you can see it in the actions of Diaz. Diaz moving forward more with his punches now, trying harder. He's getting tagged a few times. Ayala still has snapping punches.
And this is a terrific fight for Ayala, who looks ahead to bigger and better things in a world title. This is a energy zapping type of a fight, one that Ayala certainly has to get under the belt. He has never gone 12 before.
Yeah, defining fight, and a fight that he can control the pace and the tempo, although it looks as though it's shifting. He can control throughout this fight. Coming on now is Diaz. He senses it. He knows what's happening. Listening to his corner. Finally sunk in.
And there's still 3 long rounds to go. Diaz a little more on his toes. You can see the confidence level in him surging.
Sergio in?
That's the next fight.
Oh, Sergio Reyes.
Closing seconds of the 9th. And maybe a shift in time. Another championship fight coming up next. Sergio Reyes and Gideon. And that is for the USBA bantamweight title. And we expect more of the same, what we're seeing here in the NABF title shot between Paulie Ayala in the purple trunks, undefeated in his first 14 fights, ranked number 10 in the world by the IBF. And Mario Diaz in the black trunks, 23-5. He's ranked number 12 by the IBF. And the former USBA bantamweight champion. Paulie Ayala encouraged coming out for this 10th round. He has to pick up the pace.
encouraged, and they're asking to put them together. They want combination punches. They said keep scoring with that right hook, and he threw a nice right hook about 20 seconds ago that connected. The way that Diaz holds his left hand a little bit low, and what Ayala does, he goes right around that left hand and crack. He says that is his best punch, and I think I would agree.
Those were his best punches, the combination, and he follows it up, and again, rocking Diaz here in the 10th round. Paulie Ayala showing some more signs of life.
Yeah, Ayala still wants a knockout.
And he still has 2.5 rounds to try to do something Sergio Reyes could not do, take Mario Diaz out. So in a sense, Ayala is fighting Diaz and also the ghost of Sergio Reyes tonight.
Yeah, that's how competitive he is. You know, these two, that rivalry, have made both of them terrific fighters. Sergio Reyes, Paulie Ayala, not allowing the other man to get the upper hand.
Reyes waiting right now backstage, and he will be in the spotlight against Ansi Gideon. Another tough customer, as Diaz is to Ayala here in the first fight.
Yeah, I think Sergio's antsy to get in the ring. Up and down, mixing his attack is Ayala.
Coming right back is Diaz.
Yeah.
Swinging widely here in the final 30 seconds of the 10th.
Just what Diaz needs. He needs for Ayala to stand toe-to-toe with him, but he's got a punch. He's catching too many shots. And without that controlling power that he needs to turn this fight around, Ayala stands right in there with him. Ayala's so good mixing his combinations upstairs and down.
10 down, 2 to go.
Pouring it on those final few rounds. Look at these punches from Ayala. His are connecting on the spot, on the mark. Diaz punches are off the mark.
Well, that last shot late in the 10th round opened a little bit of a cut. The corner of the right eyebrow of Mario Diaz.
And they told Ayala between rounds, you have 2 more rounds. I want you to go out there and give it everything you've got. Pour it on.
And he is. 11th round of the scheduled 12-round NABF bantamweight title fight. The champion, undefeated Paulie Ayala. So right here in Fort Worth, Texas, looking for his 15th straight win as a pro. He had over 290 amateur fights. And he has come along very quickly as a professional.
Yeah, he fought Sergio, as we talked about, the first time at age 8. He said, I think that's how old we were. After the fight, they got into a ritual where the loser would buy something for their adversary, the winner, candy bars. Oh, man, upstairs to the head and into the body, crunching blows from Ayala and putting the pressure on.
Is that why they call us the sweet science?
That's where it came from. The science was sweet.
Well, they faced each other 16 times in the amateurs. So many times that there's a question of who won how many fights.
They couldn't remember.
Well, the consensus is that Sergio Reyes was up 9-7 by winning the last 3, but there are some who contend they split it at 8 apiece.
Oh, pouring it on now, Ayala. I think Sergio even forgot how many amateur fights he had.
As did Paulie, close to 300.
272 and 24 in the amateurs.
That's why there's such a big crowd here. They have really built up a following in the boxing sector of Fort Worth, Dallas area.
Oh, yeah, and they love boxing.
All the amateur fights.
Good boxing fan.
Paulie Ayala, matter of fact, the man he could not get by to get to the Olympics was Sergio Reyes, who surged forward into Barcelona, although he did not come back with a medal. Lost in the second fight.
Every one of these rounds, Diaz is just a step behind Ayala. Ayala outspeeding him, outpunching him. even when Ayala slowed down a couple of rounds, he took a few rounds off. Remember that 6th, 7th round? He stepped back. Diaz just a little bit behind him, just doing just enough, I think, to lose the round.
And so is the crowd. The crowd here feels Ayala wins this fight if it goes to the scorecards, but that's what they want to see. The KO, and that's what Ayala wants. Doesn't fear the punching power of Mario Diaz. He knows that Diaz went the distance, 12 rounds against Reyes 3 months ago. Ayala wants to stop him before that final bell.
He wants to get a knockout, and if Diaz comes at him in desperation, he might be able to get it. When you have a fighter rushing at you out of desperation, you sometimes can rock back on your back foot and nail him, and it'll send him to the canvas.
Well, if he peered over your shoulder and looked at your scorecard, Diaz would know this definitely is desperation. You have a near shutout for Paulie Ayala, who hears the chanting of his name from the friendly crowd.
I think they all agree with my scorecard.
I think this is one of those rare nights.
No, you agree with mine too? Oh boy.
You are correct.
Well, Ayala has outpunched him. He's outfought him. He's landed the cleaner blows. Landed the more combinations. He's shown the desire. Nice. Left uppercut. Paulie Ayala going down to the body when he needs to, up to the head. And this is what he needed. He needed a fight like this, a defining fight that would raise him to another level. A fight where he controls the tempo, and he has controlled this throughout the match. He has imposed his will.
Does Fort Worth, Texas have 2 future world champions right here in their backyard? Paulie Ayala now ranked number 10 by the IBF. You'll see Sergio Reyes shortly. They feel that he already should have the crown, and the controversial defeat at the hands of Orlando Canizales. Reyes still ranked number 1 by the IBF. He comes up next against Ansi Gideon, a sleeper in the bantamweight classification, and we are really looking forward to seeing Gideon in action.
Yeah, sleeper. Not many people know about him.
Tough fight for Reyes,
but he always gives 100%.
Rat-a-tat-tat upstairs by Ayala. They will probably pour it on in the final 30 seconds. The crowd responding. They're looking for it, looking for a big finish.
Diaz needs it. He is dancing too much. Not many instructions given between rounds.
No knockdowns in this fight. And Mario Diaz goes 12 with Sergio Reyes, and now with Paulie Ayala. And Ayala plays to his people here in Fort Worth. Even though the champ has made up his mind, we will be back with the official decision. The NABF Bantamweight title on USA's Tuesday Night Fights. The big crowd at the Will Rogers Coliseum, Fort Worth, Texas. And they are looking forward for this decision to see if Paulie Ayala indeed made his first successful defense of the NABF Bantamweight title, taking 10 tough rounds against a guy who just would not go down, Mario Diaz, who gets his second crack at the title. He went to 12 and lost a decision to Sergio Reyes in March. A unanimous decision defeat, although one of the judges saw it 115 to 114. And we suspect, though, that it will be a wider margin, and that may be the solace for Paulie Ayala tonight, even though he did not take Mario Diaz out. All right, we're ready for the decision. Here is Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Jack Woodruff scores the bout 119 to 111. Gail Van Hoy scores it 117 to 113. And Gary Snapka has it 120 to 108. for the winner by unanimous decision and still heavyweight Captain Holy Ayala.
Some variance among the judges. One agreed with Sean of Ayala pitching the shutout, and the margin a little wider than the victory of Reyes over Diaz. So Holy Ayala goes to 15-0 and retains the title. Coming up, the USBA Bantamweight Championship. In the main event, Sergio Reyes, the champion, Ansi Gideon, the challenger. It's next on Tuesday Night Fights. From Fort Worth, Texas, it's time for the main event. Budweiser, the king of beers, presents USA's Tuesday Night Fights. For the USBA Bantamweight title, the champion, Sergio Reyes. The challenger, Ansi Gideon. It was his 11th pro fight. Former Olympian Sergio Reyes out-hustled legendary bantamweight champion Orlando Canizales. Canizales got the decision in his hometown, but Reyes was on the map. Next fight, Sergio went on to capture the USBA crown. After just 12 pro fights, he's ranked as the #1 world contender, bringing a fierce determination into the ring.
We had to struggle a lot growing up, and I think that's what, when you see me fight in the ring, I'm determined. I mean, there's nothing going to stop me in that ring.
His opponent tonight, Ansi Gideon, knows the feeling. He came from Haiti at the age of 9, abandoned by his parents. He raised himself on the streets and found a life in boxing. Lately, coming off some big upset wins, Gideon eagerly wants Reyes.
My plan to fight him is, go through his body early. I don't think he can handle body shots.
Do you feel also that he doesn't have the power to hold you off?
Bingo, yeah. You don't got no power at all.
I'm a lot smarter fighter. If I realize that he's beating me on the inside, then I'll box him. And if I have to win a turn-on decision, a W's a W.
The two feisty bantamweights square off in Fort Worth, Texas, hometown of Sergio Reyes. Reyes with a home ring advantage.
I trained real hard for this fight. I'm in great physical shape, and mentally, I'm 100%. And I don't think Ansi Gideon can come to Fort Worth and take my title away from me. I mean, he's not just going to take it away from me. He's going to take it from about 6,000 to 7,000 people that are going to be out there tonight.
It's not my first time going to people's backyard, beat them. I've been doing that, since I've been boxing, go to people's backyard.
Well, Ansi has been fighting without a home his whole life. Sergio Reyes looking ahead to a world title fight, but he better not look too far ahead tonight.
I know he can't overlook Gideon. This is a fight. All the pressure's on Sergio Reyes. The people came here to see him, but that man, Gideon, knows that. Gideon says he has a big question mark. He says, how much did Orlando Canizales take out of Sergio Reyes? He's going to try to answer that tonight.
All right, as Sergio Reyes gets ready to come into the ring, let's take a look at the tail of the tape and how these two bantamweights size up, both at 118 pounds, but very rarely is Sergio Reyes the taller of the two fighters at 5'3½", generally looking up, but tonight, 5'2", Ansi Gideon will be on the other side of the ring, both with 63-inch reaches. USBA rules, no standing 8 count, 3 knockdown rule is not in effect. You cannot be saved by the bell. And the scoring, the 10-point must-scoring system. Now sizing up the strengths and the weaknesses of these two fighters. Here's the champ and the blackboard.
Old Spice presents tonight's boxing blackboard. USBA bantamweight champion Sergio Reyes. His strength, he's a bell-to-bell bomber with non-stop punches. He's always on the attack with aggressive pressure. Sergio's weaknesses, his busy style, he lacks controlling power. And with Reyes, He's easy to hit. He says tonight he'll move more. Against Ansi Gideon, his strengths, with his short height, he attacks under. He's a good body puncher who's very adaptable. He learns fast in the ring. Ansi's weaknesses, he's out-muscled because he lacks balance strength. Without balance, he possesses little power. Both will rely tonight on their speed.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the USA Network Tuesday night fights.